I'm discussing the case of Terry and her terrible temper. My name is Mrs. Smith. My husband and I tried for several years to get pregnant and spent a lot of money on fertility treatments to no avail. We wanted a baby for a very long time and thought that after we got married that it would happen right away, and unfortunately it did not. So because the fertility treatments were getting very expensive and weren't working, we also decided to explore adoption. But we were really getting frustrated with that process as well when we finally got the call about Terry. For my husband and I, it was like she was sent from heaven. We were so happy to finally be parents. And for the first couple of years, it was perfect. Once Terry turned 2, everything changed. Her behavior became very difficult to handle. She screams, she hits, she throws things. And we had designated the bathroom as the timeout area, but she refuses to stay in there. She runs and hides, and she won't stop until she gets so tired that she falls asleep from exhaustion from crying and screaming. We enrolled Terry in a preschool program to get her to become more social with other kids, and we thought that maybe working with someone besides us would help. But even there, she hits other kids, she steals their toys, she won't cooperate with the teachers, and unfortunately, she's facing dismissal because of her behavior. But honestly, it's easier to just tell her that she can have her way rather than going through the fight of trying to discipline her. But what I think the final straw was when we took a vacation with my sister and her family at the beach. My husband basically called the whole vacation a disaster because of Terry's behavior. She refused to cooperate. We couldn't eat in any of the restaurants because of her constant tantrums. And the only time that Terry was on her best behavior was when she got to decide what we were doing. So that's what we let her do. Until, of course, the rest of the family got so tired of that. And Terry didn't get her way. She'd just throw objects and she'd throw fits. And it even got to the point where we were trying to meet our family for an activity we had all agreed to do together. But Terry decided at last minute she didn't want to do that and didn't want to go. So she refused to allow us to get her dressed and get her ready to go. She screamed and cried and kicked. And at that point, we were just so tired trying to convince her to go that we decided to not even bother. So of course, everyone became even more frustrated, and my sister said she'd never vacation with us again. In fact, she's the one who told me that she thought we needed to seek professional help, not just for Terry, but maybe for us to discipline her effectively. The problem stated by the client. The first and biggest problem is Terry's temper and her behavior. She is 3 years old and has become increasingly difficult. She will not cooperate when it comes to any forms of discipline at home, and she does not cooperate at school. She hits her peers, throws objects, and screams. Her teachers are threatening to dismiss her from the preschool she attends unless her behavior improves. But it's difficult because she's only 3 years old, so her communication is still rather limited. Another problem is that she doesn't respond to our discipline, so we've given up on it. Because for us, it's become so exhausting to not see any kind of progress when we've tried to discipline. So we figured it's easier to just let her do what she wants. And I think we know that realistically that's not right, but Terry's behavior has brought us to the point of tears because we're just so frustrated and don't know what to do when she gets this way. We've admitted to people that Terry basically runs the show, and it's true, she really does. And some people may say we're too easy on her or that we're setting her up for problems in the future, but I think we were just so happy to have a child that we were willing to do whatever it took to keep her happy, and it backfired. We want to provide her with a warm, loving environment, and I think we do, but Terry doesn't know what it means to be disciplined. I know that by the end of her toddler years that she'll have more communication and she'll become better at asking for what she wants and using words rather than actions or screaming to express herself. But the truth is, Terry just hasn't gotten there yet. I also think about Terry's relationship with her peers in the classroom. I think about how no kid is going to want to be around the kid who hits and steals toys and screams and cries. So what does all of this mean for Terry and her friendships? Is there a way to work on her behavior amongst her peers? I also think that in the process of raising Terry, my husband and I have had some confusion on what we should really discipline and what we could let slide. I've read up on temper tantrums and I know they're normal, but I don't always know what to ignore and what to point out in discipline. I just wonder what we can do to help her with her emotions, because I'm sure part of it is Terry trying to figure out how to express herself, but it's coming out as poor behavior. And now that I look back on it, I wonder if our lack of even discussing sadness or her emotions and instead doing everything to make her happy has had a negative effect on her behavior, because not everything is going to be happy all of the time. I also worry about her behavior eventually causing a divide between my family and I. The incident on vacation with my sister and her family already cast a negative light on us going on vacation together. I don't want it to trickle down into the holidays and celebrations, because although our family is supporting our decision to seek professional help, my sister is my only sibling and I don't want us to have distance because of Terry's behavior. Past issues of importance that may help a social worker may be that we have tried for a long time to have children and we were unsuccessful. Like I said, the fertility treatments cost us a lot of money and time. Emotionally, this process took a toll as well. The process of adoption was stressful too, so when we finally got the news that Terry was going to be our baby, we were overjoyed to say the least. We were just so happy to be parents, like I said before, and I think that in that happiness, we didn't think too much about discipline. We didn't really have to, though, because Terry was such a good baby in the beginning. Terry was adopted as an infant, and I don't know if any length of time away from her primary caregiver or her birth mother had any negative impact on her development, all of the moving around, or if she was even old enough to understand. We haven't punished her for her behavior, partly because it's exhausting, but also because we don't want her to feel badly about us. It could have something to do with the fact that she's adopted, and I want her to feel as attached to us as a biological child is to their mother and father. So maybe we didn't do a great job of disciplining, but I'm hoping that with some help and guidance, we can move in the right direction as parents, and that Terry can learn some coping skills that can keep her in school, and that she can better use to manage her anger when she doesn't get her way. Strengths-wise, I think my husband and I are a solid couple. We're secure financially, despite the stress we went through between trying to conceive, to adopting, to dealing with Terry's current behavior. We also do have a solid support system in our family, despite the fact that my sister doesn't want to vacation with us right now. And to be fair, I understand her point. She's still encouraging and supportive of us seeking out professional help. The school that Terry attends is also supportive, even though they are threatening to dismiss her. They're willing to work with us as long as we do our best to get some help outside of school. I think that her being exposed to children on a regular basis and learning from others, it goes well up until Terry not getting her way and not being able to express what she wants. Communication-wise, I think that we as parents communicate as best as we can. Terry is 3 years old, so it's difficult to imagine that she fully comprehends everything we say or do, or all of the situations she's exposed to. I imagine it's a lot to register, and therefore she throws tantrums. We've had to do a lot of figuring out what Terry wants, which after a while becomes very exhausting, and part of the reason why we're here in the first place. Terry doesn't communicate well through words when she throws a tantrum. She instead resorts to aggression and throwing objects, using her hands to hit, push, and scream. All in all, I feel like at this point we're at a loss on where to go from here by ourselves. So I'm really hopeful that a social worker can point us in the right direction so Terry's behavior and our parenting style can improve.